Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that tries to answer exactly those. I'm Charlotte, and today we're going to try to answer the very controversial question, should abortions be illegal? This is obviously a very difficult question to answer without bias, and it comes down to your fundamental beliefs. But it is clear that the right to abortions in the US is being challenged, and debate of the topic is firing up again. We at Life's Biggest Questions do not wish to offend anyone, and we encourage healthy debate of all our topics in the comments section down below. Let's start things off with a bit of history. Abortion has existed since ancient times, and natural substances called abortifacients were being used by a variety of tribal people. The earliest texts available contain no mention of abortion or abortion law. Based on the information available, the harshest penalties that existed were for women who procured an abortion against their husband's will. Religious texts condemn abortions, but the only punishment was to seek penance. Fast forward to the 19th century, and several Western countries began to put abortion laws into place to restrict the practice of abortions. This was largely due to concern for the mother's safety. Abortions were not as safe a procedure as they are now, and the public was concerned for the welfare of the mothers who chose to procure abortions. Despite all of this, illegal abortions still occurred in large numbers, and obtaining evidence to prosecute those women was difficult. Even if it led to the prosecution of a mother, the goal was to prosecute the person who performed the abortion, not the mother herself. Abortion became legal in the US in 1973, and since then it's become one of the most highly debated topics in American politics. Roe v. Wade was a landmark decision made by the US Supreme Court. It declared that a fetus is not a person until the moment of birth. The ruling also declared that it was a fundamental right for a woman to have unrestricted access to abortions in the early weeks of pregnancy and restricted access to abort in later weeks. Access to abortion varies from state to state, and it also varies from country to country. In Ireland, for example, abortion is illegal unless there are circumstances where the health of the mother is at risk due to the pregnancy. Those who are against abortion are often against it for religious reasons. Many religious texts declare that abortion is a form of murder, and God forbids it. There are many religions that reject abortions. The Bible states that man shall not kill, and a fetus is a person from the moment of conception. Hindus believe that the act of abortion is one of the greatest possible sins. Buddhists also believe this. To someone who is pro-life, a baby's heart begins to beat at 3 weeks old, one day after fertilization. Therefore, a baby is a real, living person, and killing it is immoral. Attempts have been made to persuade lawmakers to declare that an unborn fetus is a person, but they have not been successful. Some who are pro-life also believe that penalties should be inflicted upon women who choose to get an abortion. US statistics show that 21% of all viable pregnancies result in an abortion, and at least half of all the women who are attempting to get an abortion have also had previous abortions. There is also the point that abortion is not contraception, and if you do not wish to get pregnant, you should either abstain or use some sort of contraception, be it a type of birth control or condoms. One could also argue that abortion allows the parent to discriminate against the child. One of the most common conditions that is screened for is Down syndrome, and almost 80% of all pregnancies where the baby is diagnosed with Down syndrome are aborted. This is mostly in democratic states, but the trouble with these tests is they are not always accurate, meaning the baby is aborted on the chance that the child might have Down syndrome, not because the baby does have it indefinitely. Now that we've talked about the pro-life side, let's look at the pro-choice side. Pro-choice, despite misconceptions, does not mean pro-abortion. Being pro-choice defends the rights of women to decide for themselves, and that legal, safe abortion is a fundamental human right for all women. Almost half of all US pregnancies are accidental, even when contraception is being used. The problem with making abortion illegal is that abortion will still happen regardless. Women will begin to resort to unsafe, potentially life-threatening methods of abortion. One of the most common forms of unsafe abortion is attempting to break the amniotic sac inside the womb by using a sharp object, often a clothes hanger or a needle. This can damage the uterine wall and result in death. Another method of unsafe abortions involves creating toxic mixtures with chili peppers, alum, Lysol, or plant poison and pumping them into the pregnant woman. This can cause the woman to go into toxic shock and die. Unsafe abortion is a major cause of maternal mortality, and it mostly occurs where abortion is illegal or where trained medical practitioners are not as accessible. According to the World Health Organization, in 2003, almost 42 million pregnancies were voluntarily terminated, and 20 million of those were unsafe. 68,000 women die a year from unsafe abortions. There is also the argument that some women become pregnant as a result of sexual assault. No woman should be forced to conceive a baby that was a result of a rape. But is a fetus really a human? When does life officially begin? Does it begin at the moment of conception? Or when the heart begins to beat? Or when there is brain activity? The answer to this question is dependent on your own beliefs and moral stance. When women are being counseled on abortions at a clinic, they are well informed by their doctors on what happens to the fetus when you get an abortion. A typical abortion clinic will also allow a woman to look at the fetus if she wishes. Some of these women, after receiving counsel and seeing the fetus, choose not to get an abortion after all. It is completely up to the individual and what they believe is best for them. They are not persuaded in any way by their doctors unless it is a question of a health risk. So to answer the question, should abortions be illegal? No, they should not. If it is your personal choice to be against abortion because of moral reasons, then that is your choice and you're absolutely entitled to make it. It is a beautiful thing to believe that all life is sacred, including the life of an unborn child. But to prevent other women from getting abortions when they do not share your beliefs is unjust. If abortions were allowed only in special circumstances, how would one decide who deserves to get an abortion and who does not? How do you even prosecute such a crime if it were one? There is a reason why Roe v. Wade was passed. It gives women the right to choose, and that is how it should continue to be. I'm Charlotte Dobre for Life's Biggest Questions. Thank you for tuning into our channel. If you enjoyed that video, make sure you like, share it with a friend, and subscribe to Life's Biggest Questions.